Hello there, only one Kenobi here, only one, and welcome to another episode that ties in with my series called The Best of the 96. So we've gone through the 96 and looked at what the best figures are in the modern line for the 96 characters of the Kenner 96. And that was great, loved doing that series. And as you know, each episode had 12 characters per episode. We went up in 12, starting with the first 12, we went all the way through to 96, 8 episodes. If you've never seen those, check them out. There is a link in the description. But now I want to look at 12 characters for Star Wars, Empire, Return of the Jedi that weren't in the 96. So I'll be looking at the modern figures or their equivalents. The reason I'm panning up here is I don't want to give away what I've chosen yet. I might put a couple in the thumbnail, but these are 12 modern characters that were never in the 96. There's a lot of discussion for each of them. And let's start down here with GARINDAN. This is the one that everybody talks about. The go-to guy for one character that was sadly lost in the 96. Go see Stan Solo if you want to see a Kenner equivalent. But why is Stan Solo doing it, man? Why aren't you doing it, Hasbro? Why aren't you investing in that sector as opposed to giving us modern Mandalorian figures? You should be using the retro collection to do things like Stan Solo is doing. But anyway, that's just my opinion. But GARINDAN, this is the best figure we've got for GARINDAN as well in the modern line. He could do with, a better cloak. But his face is epic. That's just awesome. That's a really good figure. And he's got the comm chip there. These are in no particular order, but you might be surprised at this. I just wanted one droid in this, and this is my favourite droid in A New Hope, other than the main ones, R5 and R2, and of course they were in the 96, as was the Power Droid and the Death Star droid, so you got plenty of good droids back in the day, but this is just the other one that I always remember, you know, when the music kicks in, the dun, 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 I'm sure that he's the one who goes, and also look at this figure's got a lovely sunroof, but I think he'd make a good card back as well, or would have, if they'd made him back in the day. Let's go to another figure or character that was woefully left out of the 96 that always should have been in, and that is Uncle Owen. This figure is from the Power of the Force 2, and I like the way that me bringing him out now is opening up the topic of the fact that we need an update of him anyway in the modern line, because this is nice and everything, but it just won't do anymore. Articulation limited and such like. Although the likeness ain't that bad really. I can still see Uncle Owen in that. There you go, Uncle Owen, and that's another one that Stan Solo has done, I believe. I think, not really a follower of Stan Solo, but I do admire some of the stuff that he's done. And that brings me to another character. So there's 12 characters. So number 1 was GARINDAN, number 2, this guy, number 3, Owen, number 4. And this is a figure, a new modern figure that we've only just got recently in the 4-pack. And it is, I guess it's Captain Antilles this, but I think he would have been good in the 80s and the 96 because of the interaction you get with Vader. Speaking of Vader, look at this. This is my original 1980s Vader. This is one of 3 figures that I have left in the world that I used to have as a child. I had loads of figures as a kid, but where they all went is a mystery. This got dug up by my dad when I was probably a little bit older. This is decades ago that my dad found it, but it was found in the garden. And that's where a lot of them got lost, probably just left out and lost in the soil beds or whatever, who knows. But I always remember looking at Vader's gloves. See, he's only got one arm here, but that's the lightsaber hand. And I always thought of Captain Antilles because you get a good shot of Vader's gloves when he's strangling him. What have you done with those plans? So anyone who interacts with Vader should have had a figure made for him. So that's why this is an important one for me to put in here. Because I think it would have been good to have him done back in the day. And that leads me very nicely onto this guy. And I was scratching my head before. I thought, why am I putting this guy in? We've had him in the vintage collection, but no, that's not what this episode is about. This is about what wasn't in the 96, and forever this guy will be listed in that, because he wasn't, and it was criminal. And they still haven't done him in the retro collection, which is also criminal. Stan Solo has done a figure for this guy now, the Rebel Fleet Trooper. Now, speaking of this as a modern figure, this is not the first TVC release. This is the one that came in the 4-pack again, a bit like this Antilles, but this is nice. I prefer this one because this fella is the silver top dude. You know, the older guy that you first see who's looking up at the ceiling, and you get a really good close-up of him. I'm sure that they've made this figure match that specific character. Now, number 6. This is opening up a can of worms now, because this is not my favourite alien from the Cantina. He does have a few speaking lines, and it's actually begs the question, given they gave us Ponda Barber, Walrus Man, why they never gave us him back in the 80s. But this is Dr. Evazan, and yeah, there you go. Has to be on this list for his speaking part. But now I'm going to pan my camera, without giving away any of the other choices, over here. This is my Cantina shelf. Please excuse the random stuff I've just dumped there, but there are a load of characters on here that I could also, or you could also list as a character they could have put in the 96. Any of these guys would have been cool back in the day, although they would have probably struggled to make one or two of them, given the state of Ponda Barber back in the day was not the best figure. All these would have made good card backs, like they've proven in the modern TVC. Like he's got a spot now in the modern TVC. He was never a part of the 96, but you never even saw him. But some of these people that you really did see, like this guy, that's a custom. And also, you saw him. And someone else specific, who is he? Where is he gone? There he is. This guy is the one that always makes me think of New Hope. He's the first one you see popping up. Him. But they're also obscure. I had to just give one spot to one alien from the Cantina, and he's got a humanoid as well, which is less diverse, but whatever. And it's him, Evazan. But still, he's the obvious one, because he would have definitely gone together well with Ponda Barber, so you've got to have him on your list. Now, you might see Baru in the background, spoiler. Let's talk about the real big fat elephant in the room, and that is the Sandtrooper. And we've had him in TVC, and we've had him in subsequent, modern releases, but he was a character that was, and could have maybe been in the original 96. I've got two figures here, because one's a custom. This is actually from The Mandalorian. This is the Remnant Stormtrooper. And that behind is to date now, which is criminal. Hasbro, if you're watching, this is the best Sandtrooper you've ever given us. And that will not do anymore. It's good. Look at the weathering and all that. Brilliant. But look at this. That's the sculpt we've got now. That's the VC 140 mold, I believe. And you've used that a lot recently. And what we really need now is the definitive modern Sandtrooper. So I just thought I'd rock him again and show you how good one could be. And also, yeah, Sandtrooper. A crazy leave out from the original 96. You can't have Owen without Baru. Obviously, they're not stood together on my table here right now, but another one that would have been wonderful, and a card back. I don't know, I loved Owen and Baru when I was a kid. They reminded me of friends of my parents who we used to visit, and they had like lovely Labradors and stuff, so I used to love going and visiting them. They weren't family, they were just close friends of my mum and dad, but they are important characters, man, in the saga. So is that still the best figure we've ever had in the modern line? It's crazy, isn't it? I'd love to see her in TVC, but still, another strange leave out from the 96. There has to be a pilot in my list. I've chosen a droid, and now this is the pilot I would like. This is again my choice, really. You could have lots of pilots in this list. You could have Red Leader, man, Wedge, but the most iconic pilot of all time, I think, in the entire series is got to be Mr. Biggs, man. Not only because of his tash, but that helmet is awesome. Why have I got two figures here? Well, I display them always like this. This is the best figure for the facial sculpt, I think, of Biggs. This one here. This is the 30th anniversary one. The one behind is the one that looks best with the helmet on. I didn't think the head sculpt was as good, but this is a better articulated figure. That's Black Series, orange card line. The bane of my life, the orange card line, because that was a open goal for a TVC figure, but they decided to jack in TVC and go with this Black Series nonsense. But still, 9, 10, Jan Dodonna. Another sort of not grandfatherly, but an elderly figure. You had lots of characters like that. And as a child watching Star Wars, I always felt kind of a warming feeling to these guys. I used to like these characters a lot, like Owen and Old Ben and this guy. You felt safe when they were around, really, like they were kind of a wiser sort of character. But Jan Dodonna is really important. An analysis of the plans provided by Princess Leia. The way he says Leia, it's not Leia. So, obviously George didn't correct his pronunciation. So, Jan Dodonna, though, this is the best modern figure you'll get of him, but he's one that could have easily hit the 96, given you've got all those other characters that they produced from Yavin and the end of the film and stuff. But yeah, he's my choice. It's getting confusing now because I'm amalgamating some characters together, because what you have here is Tarkin, and I was thinking to myself, why am I putting Tarkin into this video? We've had him, but we haven't. You never did. You can't change history, and there was never a Tarkin in the 96. Now, what the difference is with Tarkin is they've given you a card back for him in TVC, and also they've evolved that into the retro collection. So somewhat they've ticked the box now for a Kenner style Tarkin, which you can get in the retro collection in the board game. But you can't leave Tarkin out of this because that was the most obvious leave out. And I've included this fella because if they could do a sculpt for him, they could have done one for him. And this is my favourite other Imperial dude, should we say, from New Hope. And it's Wolf Yularen. Only because he stands out that bit more than any other officer with his white. So either or really for that one. So I'm just putting them together just because they're two Imperial officers high up. And then the last one is here. Now the TIE Fighter pilot, ignore him. I can't choose him. I was and ahhing about him. He's kind of like you can't even call him an honourable mention because you had a TIE Fighter pilot in the 96. I've just thought I'd show you this figure again just because of the fact that one thing I'd like in TVC is a TIE Fighter pilot. And I want them to articulate this one specifically because I think the card back for the TIE Fighter pilot could be epic. If you got the cockpit view of the TIE Fighter pilot, as you saw a lot of in New Hope, not only in the Battle of Yavin, but in the escape of the Millennium Falcon and such like. But I can't put him in this list. We had him in the 96. In the 96. Sorry, let me rearrange this. So then my final choice, again, you could have had lots of choices here in the Cantina. But I thought I'd go with a very significant Imperial character, and that is the Imperial Gunner. Oh, hang on a minute, I can't choose him. You did get the Imperial Gunner. You got the Imperial Gunner. Oh my god, bruh. You got the Imperial Gunner on in the Tidarium Hangar card back, didn't you? Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I just created a blunder online, live. But I'm going to keep this in just to show you how easily the mistakes are made. I was just going to show you this is the best modern one we've got, except the head is not as good as this one here, which is the, it should be a bigger head. I need to do a bit of pop, boil and pop for this guy. Let's get rid of him. And I'll also keep this guy out. I'll tell you what, I'll make Wolf Yularen my 12th. So it'll be Tarkin, 11, even though we've got him now. And Wolf Yularen would be my 12th. I think they could have made a good figure out of him. If they can do an old greying head sculpt for Ben Kenobi, they could have done a guy with a tash for Yularen, man. I don't know. I can't think of any others, but I bet there's people screaming at their TVs now. How could you miss boop boop so-and-so? I don't know. Again, I could whip my camera over here and choose any one of these aliens. If there's anyone I have specifically left out that's an absolute open goal, gaping hole, then please do let me know in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I just thought of one. How about, they could have done this in the bloody 96. A silver 3PO. Where is my TC-14 at your service? Bear with me. I always thought they did do a silver one. I really did. I could have sworn, maybe I just dreamt it as a kid, but I thought they brought out a silver 3PO. Same sculpt as this guy. The same figure, but silver. But I think I just dreamt it. I imagined it. Unless there were a couple of 3POs that had different tones. One was lighter than the other. I really don't know. But that would have been a good one, wouldn't it? Because it's one of the first characters you see in Star Wars, is that silver droid. E3PO, was it K3PO or U3PO? One of those ones. I think it's K3PO, is it? I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to end this video there, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will do the same again for Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, so do stay tuned. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments, of course. This has been Only One Kenobi. Only one.